Are you ready? Yeah! I want to know, is everybody ready? Yeah! All right, here we go.
Hey now! Yeah! Yeah! Bobby back from The Difference is Doing It. And back this time with a little bit of a different flavored video for all of you kiddies today. You know, we normally don't do like outright reviews here on the channel. That's not really our thing. But like a little while back, I came across a product that I felt like really deserved a little bit of the spotlight here on these T. Diddy airwaves. It's called the Clara Chuck. And long story short, it is simply one of the dopest centering rigs I've ever seen. This is it here. It even looks super dope, doesn't it? I love spinning the pegs too. It is kind of a little hypnotic. I'm guessing a few of you though are still looking at me with a little bit of that what the look on your face. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Let's start this thing off by taking a couple steps backwards first and having a look at the problem. Have you ever been caught in this endless loop right here, trying to center a disc? Or how about this? While you're like right in the middle of a spin die and you're killing it, and then you accidentally bump the disc with your hand and knock it off center. And then you can like never get it back to just right. Or here's like a question I get all the daggone time here at T. Diddy. Yo, what am I supposed to do with that center peg that's sticking up in the middle of my turntable? Listen, the Clara Chuck answers and addresses all of those problems in one foul swoop. Alright, so here's my plan. I'm going to tell you all about it, and then I'll show it all off and all the parts and how it works and everything, and then we'll spin die a disc together with it and really show off how it works. And then on the other side of that, I'll tell you all about where you can get one for yourself, and good news, I was even able to finagle a coupon code for all of you spin crazy huckers out there in the T. Diddy. Alright, that's enough babble. Let's do it. I felt like a good place to start was with how this bad boy came to be. It was designed and created by a T. Diddy Army general named Matthew Harding. Total dude. Who, when he got into disc dyeing, you know, he started to see all of the problems that people were having with centering their discs and keeping them that way. And then eventually the light went off, ping, and he was reminded of a tool from the woodworking world that, if modified a little bit, could really help all of us out. Then, taking full advantage of some sleepless nights by his wife's side in the hospital as they anticipated the birth of their brand new baby daughter, Matthew etched out all of the designs for the Chuck here. And then Clara was born just a few hours after he was finished, and very rightfully so, earned its namesake, the Clara Chuck. A few months of prototypes and tinkering and working out all the kinks followed after that before eventually, bang, super dope centering rig ready to go. Okay, let's take a closer look at this thing now. There she is again. You know, not unlike most ingenious designs, this thing's relatively simple when you break it down into all of its little bits and pieces. But it's basically these two kaleidoscope looking discs up against each other that are held together with those 6 pegs and some screws and bolts and nuts. And, you know, when you slide it, it moves those pegs in and out along all the grooves in the kaleidoscope discs in a really kind of hypnotic way. Now, I'm not going to take all these bad boys off and break it all the way down, but I will take one of these pegs off just to show you. There we go. It's only really made up of 3 pieces. There's the peg itself, and then there's a bolt that fits up underneath, and then there's a little nut that goes inside there. It fits right inside. When I say it fits inside, like it really fits right inside, because this peg, the hole in it, is cut the exact same shape and size as the nut. So, like, you just fit it right in the little thinger there, and then boom, it drops right down to the bottom, and it's like, you know, it's in there tight and held in place. And then on the discs here, there's a little spot where the grooves from each of the 2 kaleidoscope discs cross. That's where you want to put the peg, and then, you know, you just stick the nut into the bolt from there and start screwing them together. You know how that part works. Now, because that nut in there is the exact same shape and size as the inside of the peg, you can just keep twisting the peg, and it's tightening the two together for you. You know, you don't have to worry about grabbing all that stuff. But you don't want to tighten it all the way until it's snug. You just want to leave it with a little bit of wiggle, because that way, when you slide these two discs in opposite directions, it moves those pegs in and out along those grooves, which is so hypnotic and totally ingenious, I'm telling you. Now, I'm not going to try to explain the geometry that's going on there. These two kaleidoscope shaped discs slide around on each other, but to say the obvious, you know, as these pegs are moving on there, there is always a perfectly centered circle within them, whether they're, you know, in close and it's a small one, or whether they're open really wide. Always perfectly centered inside them on the rig, which is awesome. So here's what you do when it comes time to spin die a disc with it. There's actually a couple different ways that you can stick your disc up in there. I got one right here for us to use. Let's start first by putting it on the inside, like I mentioned earlier. So the thing you want to do first is slide the two kaleidoscope shaped discs like that, so that the pegs move all the way to the outside. And then take your disc, stick it up in there, and then start sliding the two kaleidoscope shaped discs back the other way so that the pegs close in on it. Now, you can see right here, the pegs have like these little ledges right here on this ribbed part to help you spin them. What I like to do is to have the disc sit up on top of that little ledge, okay? So I'm lifting up just a little bit and then spinning it closed. Now the rim is sitting on that ridge, and I know that the disc, when it's sitting on it, all 6 of them, that the disc is level sitting in there as well, okay? And then you want to tighten this thing nice and snug, and then once it's in there nice and snug, twist the pegs like this, and then what it's doing is it's tightening the nut and the bolt inside. And those two things are squeezing the two kaleidoscope shaped discs together and locking it into position and holding your disc now in that perfectly centered position inside the chuck. Okay, see? So now it's in there, you can see it, and look, even upside down, it's not going to fall out because the pegs are putting a little bit of pressure on it and holding it in place. And then I'll just give it a little one of these to make sure that it's all the way down on that little ledge, and then bang, centered and ready to go. Then this same configuration can also work for backspins as well. You know, you just open the pegs up, take your disc out, turn it over, close the pegs back in like that, and then tighten them back up, and then put it back on, and you're set to go. But here's the other thing that I really wanted to show you. Okay, this is the way that I like to do it. Take the pegs and slide them so that they're all the way into the center. All right, and then take your disc and put it on top, and then slide the pegs back out so that, you know, until it gets nice and snug again. And now this way, the pegs are putting pressure on the inside of the rim, pushing out, instead of the outside of the rim pushing in. And then here's why I like it, because now I have access to the rim while I'm spin dyeing, and like I don't have to try to dodge the pegs with my hand or with my brush while it's going. So, you know, either way you do it, once you got it in position, then there's a little hole that I have an anchor through here that we'll talk about later. That hole, you line it up and put it right on the center peg of your turntable, and then bang, everything is perfect and ready to go. Now, for those of you who, like I, got your turntable a long while ago, and like, you're like, what am I going to do with this center peg? It's in the way. I can't even spin die. And you already cut it off or took it out in a way that you're not going to be able to replace it. Don't fret, all right? I got a solution for this that works. Here's the first thing I tried. I got one of these custom-made little spindle caps. You can see it there. It fits right onto the spindle, obviously, over top like that, and then it's got a little nub that sticks up that, you know, perfect to fit right into the hole of the Clara Chuck. Here's the problem, though. This little cap, it's got just a little wiggle. It's not like perfectly fit tight onto the spindle, and that wiggle was just enough for it to kick the thing off center while it spun. And then that's when, you know, the drywall anchor, screw anchor idea, ping, just popped into my head. So I went through a couple of these bad boys before I found one that was the perfect fit. Going through the hole in the chuck, it was a number 8 drywall anchor. And, you know, because these things are designed to push out under pressure, it like holds really nice and snug inside the hole of the Clara Chuck. And then the little piece at the bottom, I line up with the hole in the spindle, stick that guy in there, and then you know, it holds nice and tightly in there as well. So for those of you who have already tinkered the center peg out of your turntable, you know, don't worry about it. You're still good. Just a little bit more tinkering with the chuck when it's there, and you are all set to spin perfectly centered discs. Bang, just like that. Man, that was super easy. Here's what I'll say in the spirit of the review, okay? Short version. It's awesome. I love it. And I think you're going to love it too. It is super easy. Not just to use, but to like get everything on and off and all that transition stuff. You know that the disc is centered just right every time and don't have to deal with any of the frustrations of getting it there or keeping it there. Multiple times during the process, I bumped the disc with my hand in a way that would have kicked it off center before, and it stayed just like perfectly in position. This thing is obviously made for disc dyers by a disc dyer. Now, on the other side of the coin, like the one thing that I will say is I was able to do it, but it took a little bit of finagling and practice to get a position to die around the pegs when the disc was inside of it, okay? But that little bit of ergonomical finagling, I was able to pull that off with no problem. The other thing is you just have to make sure that the disc, when it's in there, especially when it's on the inside of the pegs, is level. There were a couple times I was using it where it wasn't, and I had to like pull out the level and just make sure that it was pinched in there level so that the disc, while it was centered, didn't have a wobble in it like this while it was spinning around. But those two things were super easy to take care of. Now, I'm guessing that most of you that had that what the look on your face earlier have switched over to your oh face by now and are thinking, yo, I need one of those. I feel you, okay? Let's talk about how you can get one before I get up out of here. Matthew has an order form online on the interweb at this URL right here, which I know that's a difficult one. So we also have it linked in the description for you, so you can just one-click your way there. And then when you get there, just fill out the order form and choose whether you want the 6-peg version or the 3-peg version, and then Matthew gets to making it for you. It's that simple. But wait, there's more. because Matthew isn't just super smart, but also a total dude, he has agreed to offer all of you out there in the T. Diddy Army a 10% discount on his fancy Clara Chuck. All you have to do is enter the coupon code SPINIT at the bottom of the form where the coupon code thingy goes. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do with the money that you save, but there's also a spot for a tip on that form that might be appropriate as well. Then, you just have to figure out what to do with all the time you have while you're waiting for it to arrive, because we know what you're going to do once it does. Spin it to win it perfectly centered. Yeah! Alright, like if you couldn't tell, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down at this point, this thing's awesome. I love it. And it gets my total endorsement. I think it's a no-brainer for anybody that's into spin dyeing, and that you're going to love it too. Like, you'll be thanking me after it lands. Alright, that's all I got for you. Until we catch you on the next one, kids, you better keep doing it. Yeah!
Oh.
Heartbreaker!